you see these kinds of innovations. For me personally, the icing on the cake or the cherry on top of the cake was the fact that they were selling this mutated flower plant as my mouse falls on the floor with a 480p camera for like $50. I was like, yay! $50 for a
To be honest,
480p camera.
let's be real though. Did anybody expect a fucking like Nintendo camera to be high quality? Like,
No, not even
I would
remotely.
expect at least 720p though, like
720,
at
yeah.
the minimum.
But come on, people. People lambast me for releasing content at 480p. But Nintendo's
Man, Nintendo's got some real dents, like supporting
Well, so
it.
the reason why
It's
I brought up
unbelievable.
Nintendo is because I wanna cover this. You know, I made a video about this today. A lot of people are talking about this because it's pretty insane. But it's just become aware that Breath of the Wild and its DLC together is going to cost $90 on the Nintendo Switch 2. No matter how you slice it, the base game, and keep in mind this is an 8-year-old video game. The base game is going to cost you $70.
No DLC.
With no DLC thrown in whatsoever, and they are going to charge you $20 in order, or I think $10 for the DLC or something. I don't remember if it's like the service. Basically, no matter which way you slice it, no matter how you do it, if you want the full experience, it's going to cost you $90 on the Nintendo Switch 2.
That's scandalous, man.
For an 8-year-old game.
Yeah, it's outrageous. They really are just now beginning to show how little respect they actually have.
$20 DLC. There you go.
Like, they are taking the fucking piss at this point. They know they can get away with it because there are enough dickheads who will just buy it because it's Nintendo. And this is the most arrogant I've seen Nintendo, and it's unbelievable because I thought they were ridiculously arrogant with the Wii U.
Yeah.
But this is the cycle of Nintendo as well, because they have a win, and then they think they don't have to change, they don't have to adapt, they can sell the same shit with minor upgrades, they can rip gamers off, they can spit in your face, and people will buy it, and then they end up getting felted. I'm starting to think we'll get a situation where the Switch 2 will do really, really well for the first 6 months and then die.
Yeah.
Although Nintendo does have a history of this, because me and Will and John went through the history of their consoles. The amount of DS variants was fucking criminal.
Oh, it's like maddening. There was the DS, there was the DS Lite, there was the DSi, DSi XL, then the 3DS, then the 3DS XL. Then there's the 2DS. Then there's the new Nintendo 3DS. Then there's the new Nintendo 2DS, which is just the same without the 3D.
Yeah.
Then there's XL versions of both of them as well. It went on and on and on. So many fucking consoles. We went through all the we ranked them. We did a tier list.
Plus they had separate digital stores, and then they shut down the digital stores, so the stuff you buy no longer exists.
Exactly.
Which
the
is
virtual
completely
store on the Wii was,
anti-consumer.
they don't care. They really don't care. There's a reason that they attack the piracy so hard. Is because they want to be able to nickel and dime you for this shit. Right. If they actually gave a shit about this stuff, because their argument and Ubisoft's argument back in the day as well was like, oh well, you guys will pay for Spotify. Yeah, you guys will pay for Netflix. It's like, well, I pay for Spotify because I get literally billions of songs at my fucking fingertips for $10. What are you giving me, Nintendo? Like a very small selection of your incredibly old library. You could sell these games for $1 each on the NES, $5 maybe for the really, like, going all the way up the generations for like the really successful ones. If they opened a storefront where you could do that and you could have like access to the entire library, you could even charge $20 for GameCube games. Somebody would buy them.
They would never want all access because they love scarcity. They love limited amounts, like whether it's hardware or software. Like with the NES Mini, the SNES Mini, they loved like just having a limited amount so that we could have scalpers, and then you have games like Super Mario 3D All Stars, and they're like, we're gonna only sell this up until this specific date, and then we're gonna stop selling it just because.
I know. I've got that actually. My wife bought it for me that Christmas because it was limited edition. So it actually worked on me.
I bought it before I even owned a Switch because I wanted to play Super Mario Galaxy.
That's exactly the same as me. Yeah. I mean, I had loads of other ways to play Sunshine and 64 already, especially 64. But Galaxy, yeah, I really wanted to not have to rig up a Wii to play that again.
Well, this mindset though for Nintendo, their reputation needs to nosedive because as we've seen throughout their history, the only way they truly innovate and improve is when they are on the edge of oblivion.
Yeah. They deserve it. I mean, if they succeed this generation, that will be terrible. It would be awful for gaming.
To be fair, that's not just Nintendo though. Like all of these.
Oh yeah.
So like this is why I don't want Xbox to bow out of the console wars, if you even want to call it that. I don't want them to. I know they're going to eventually. It seems that way, but I don't want them to not because I'm an Xbox fan, but because I want there to be competition. In gaming at all times. If Xbox were to bow out, Sony will just become the next Nintendo, and they're going to get ultimately extremely comfortable because they're going to feel like they don't compete with Nintendo. I feel like we all know that at this point. Nintendo does its own thing, and Sony and Xbox compete against each other.
That's Sony's problem in general, is that like Sony has this thing where they think they're slightly ahead of the curve when it comes to like in comparison to Microsoft. So they'll do some super fuck shit that really pisses off their fans, and then they have to backtrack slightly just for like Microsoft to pass them again. And they keep doing that shit. I think that might just be a marketing move between the two of them to sell more consoles, but that's
maybe.
That's
Microsoft, it feels like it's inevitable that Ryan will eventually mention WWE and WCW.
No, I won't. I won't. No, I honestly won't.
But a company running uncontested is not a good thing for the industry. Yeah,
correct.
Well, Microsoft, if they had any initiative, they don't. But if they had any initiative, they would see Nintendo taking a step forward in making a parity console and take a step back and turn Xbox into this hybrid hub between the physical and the digital. Stay away from handhelds because you have no fucking experience in that domain, and sell cheap Game Pass machines that could be low-level entry PCs to everyone. Do what Stadia
function, a functional Stadia.
Isn't that what they're trying to do with their proposed handheld? Like Xbox is trying to make a handheld to compete with Steam.
Well, that's why I said, lack of initiative, because anyone who enters a domain where they don't have experience, of course they're going to fall flat first. And Microsoft doesn't have inbuilt experience. Even Xbox doesn't have inbuilt experience with those kinds of systems, at least from my analysis.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if anybody's going to make, I would hope anyway, a halfway decent handheld, I would imagine Microsoft and Xbox should be able to.
It seems like something they'd be very, very capable of. I mean, so the thing here is, we shit on game companies that treat us like crap all the time, every day, whether they're software or their hardware or both. We always come down really heavy on them. The disappointing thing here is to see so many people who would otherwise be making videos crippling a company for insulting their intelligence and their wallet, who then rush to defend Nintendo purely because it's fucking Nintendo. It's sickening. What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
It's one of the reasons.
Go ahead. No, Sheep, go ahead.
I was about to say it's one of the reasons why I started to veer away more from like just mainstream like console games in general, is because they just don't hold. They do things that basically screw the gamers over. Like for example, with this Nintendo, what Nintendo does is they're so fucking good at it, primarily because they know that as long as their like short-lived titles are quality games, based on like, the short-lived titles are quality games within the franchises that they are. Like Mario games are the same shit every time. As long as you can release something that's a little different from the standard, side-scrolling platform, you got yourself your baked in audience. The same thing
It's
with
like,
Metroid.
what animal is Mario this generation? You know,
Right.
it's
Like
Well,
it's the same thing with Metroid, right? Like you just released
Kinda, yeah.
another Metroid game that's not Metroid 4 just yet. Same thing with Zelda. It's like, you just release another
Echoes.
Zelda game with
Yeah.
another storyline that does the same thing all the time, just with different characters. I say that and I love Zelda through and through. I got like 2 shelves full of Zelda shit over here. But
it's
like,
on my hat. Although
yeah,
I did
it's
just
like
yeet my Triforce across the room. So
and heavens for fucking bid, I mentioned Pokemon, but I'm not even gonna go down that route. The thing is,
Well, I will say,
Nintendo is good.
there's a lazy
at,
franchise.
I'm gonna finish with this.
okay.
Nintendo is good at keeping their fans on the hook.
Yeah.
Despite them doing some really egregious shit, they know how to do something. They know how to we apologize or please understand their way back into the
Well, that
heart
was
of their fans.
Satoru Iwata. I mean, they don't have him anymore. They don't have Reggie anymore. The people
Yeah.
who used to be gamer first and business second are gone, replaced by pure business minds.
Yeah.
The industry landscape has definitely changed, and a recent announcement should showcase to Nintendo that the writing's on the wall, as it were, in that for the first time, PC gamers outnumber console gamers in history.
It's
the
something like
first time this-
60% of gamers
Yeah.
have a PC that they also game
Yes.
on, at least.
Yeah, in terms of a 1-to-1, like as a standard, there are more PC gamers now than there are console gamers. It took a heck of a long time to make that
Barely
happen.
though, but it is
Yep.
going that way.
Yeah, it's with
Yeah.
that caveat that it's
Well-
like some people have consoles and PC.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
most of that change happened over the last 5 to 10 years, which should be like warning, turn back, reform, make console games great again.
No. It's, they
I
have
think
to,
that's partially due to the overall performance of this generation of consoles though. People were so underwhelmed by this generation that they started seeking out other avenues of entertainment, and all it takes is for people to realize that it's actually not that expensive to have a halfway decent PC to last you 5 to 10 years.
Definitely not.
it's cheaper to buy a GPU than a new console most of the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I think it's unfortunate that they don't advertise the Steam Deck. You know what I mean? Like Valve's biggest problem is that they only advertise their hardware within their own echo
Good.
chamber.
Yeah,
their
we
own
don't want any
ecosystem.
console gremlins coming over. You guys could stay
Fucking
over there
Cassie.
with your fuck shit ass consoles that does everything for you and your happy little baby with your
To be
bobo
fair,
in
I
your
was a
mouth
console guy
and your
until
diaper on. We
5
don't want
years
you
ago.
over here. Please don't advertise to these normie console gremlin casuals. Fuck out of here.
That's why
Holy
console.
shit.
That's why console gaming should be user friendly and cost effective, in my view. Which is why a great way for the Switch to, in my view, of gain ground was to go against industry standards and lower their fucking prices, especially for their
I mean,
games.
that's the
and have
Nintendo
a-
model.
Yeah, do that. Do what you're good at. Double down on what you're good at. The Switch is a fantastic example of that. So double down on the concept with the Switch
Mhm.
too. But no, you're taking a step forward, going back to the N64 and GameCube days of, yeah, we're number one now, full price, full
Double price.
release, and
Yeah.
double price even. You charge you the same price for games that are nearly a decade old. Of course, you're gonna fucking fail. Know your lane and stick
Yeah,
in
this
it.
is
Stupid.
insane. Like, again, going back to the topic, this right here is fucking wild. Like, if you want to, okay, I get it, man. People are gonna argue about Nintendo. Oh, it's fair. It's this, whatever. You're gonna have people defend it. Fine. You want to defend new games being $80, $90, whatever. There's no way, bro, that we're gonna
can't.
sit here and talk about an 8-year-old game costing $90. Like, there's just no
Fuck
fucking way.
that, man.
Like, I'm not having that conversation with someone. There's no way. Like, again, you want to defend new games, fine, but you want to defend. I don't care if it's Zelda. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a shit.
Neither
Some of
do
the
I. And I'm
some
the
of the
biggest fucking
best
Zelda
AAA
fan on this
games
show.
that have ever existed, I have bought for like $9 on Steam. Like, there's no way you're defending an 8-year-old plus game at maximum retail price. Why? Because now you're at 60 frames a second instead of 30, 25 if you were lucky. Like,
Nintendo
No.
is still
Careful,
selling
Hypnotic.
Wii U games on the Switch that are full price.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Be careful,
Like-
guys. These these fucking mathematicians are gonna pull out their fucking inflation calculators and try to tell you otherwise.
Oh,
To
for
put this in
fuck's
a-
Oh, that's
sake,
to put this in
fucking
a
no.
perspective,
retarded.
to put this in a perspective, right? Breath of the Wild dropped in 2017. Marcus
Yep.
Cyborg found a 60 FPS version of the game in like 2019. It's already
Yeah.
been done. You don't
Mhm.
have to go far. Just go to a PC.
It's insane, bro. And quite frankly, the people who use the inflation calculator, anytime you try to bring up the conversation of, oh, okay, so you're saying that the inflation on video games, it should be XYZ price, so we should just be happy it's $90 or whatever, $80. But you realize like salaries haven't caught up with inflation at all,
Yeah.
right? You realize like people's pay, inflation has far outweighed people's pay, in terms of the cost of living and whatnot. This is the biggest issue around that. So yeah, obviously games, back in the day when you account for inflation cost way more, but also most people's salaries are nowhere near what they should be if you were to account for inflation.
Mm.
That's why I hate it.
Let's also
I
look
hate the
at
concept.
movie theaters. They've increased their prices with inflation, but where are movie theaters now? Because no one wants
Exactly.
to. No one wants to go.
Well,
to
this
movie
is the
theaters
thing
anymore.
that's going to happen. I mean,
That's a good point.
the inevitable outcome of this, as far as I can see, is like when you try to think what will realistically happen if we normalize these kind of prices. Yeah, fine, great, good for you. You'll make more money per purchase. Wonderful, and you will price out such a significant portion of
Mhm.
your potential audience that far fewer people will actually buy the games. So you will ultimately lose money, and it will crash the industry.
Because
Yeah.
it's absolutely 100% my view that the Switch 2 isn't going to make nearly as many sales as the original Switch. It'll be lucky to get half. Lucky. If
You
it
did
keeps
that thing
doubling
before
down.
with the pattern, like the Nintendo pattern.
Yeah.
You can look at the amount of copies that was it the N64 sold, then the GameCube, and then you can look at the amount
Yeah.
of copies that the Wii sold versus the Wii
Yeah.
U, and it's always it's like 30% or something.
It's up,
And
down,
then
up, down, up, down. Like a
yeah,
heartbeat.
so by that reckoning, then the Switch 2 is going to get fucked and
Yes.
sell
And it needs
hardly
to.
any.
And also
These
keep in mind.
practices.
Go ahead, Brian.
Oh,
No,
well, I
go
was
ahead.
just going to say these practices need to be condemned. Nintendo
Yeah.
need to take the L, which will allow them to then refocus, truly be innovative, and then create something even better. Look at the Wii U disaster and how that led to
To the
one of the
Switch, yeah.
best-selling consoles in living memory.
Yeah, it's
And
just such a weird
gamers,
situation that
sorry, go on.
Nintendo has put themselves in because basically, PlayStation 4 prospered because Xbox One completely shit the bed. The Wii U completely shit the bed. And
Yep.
guess what? PlayStation's response was, you know what? We came off of a generation where we were fighting for our fucking lives. Let's just play the pro consumer aspect of things. And guess what? The PlayStation 4 hit the ground running.
Mhm.
And it was a really good generation for them, but at the expense of every and the top, the other top two console manufacturers being on the cusp of just Wii U was a failure. I don't think that the Switch 2 is going to be nearly as much. Now we're in a
No.
landscape of essentially the landscape is everybody is I don't want to say outright shit, but they're all just disgusting to look at. It's like, oh, these games, they're kind of interesting. Some of them are just outright slop, but everyone has games that are kind of interesting and a lot of slop too. So they're just competing in a space where they're just like, we just want to be kind of interesting and just fuck you business wise. And it's like, but everybody's just trying to do that now. So how are you guys gonna be in the forefront of the console industry?
I gotta be honest. I think the reason why we have so much slop now is because of the over reliance on subscription services. I think these companies are
I
so
agree.
desperate for content over quality. It's
Mhm.
it's the same reason we got so many shitty TV shows, right? It's just putting out
Yep.
content to put out content to keep the machine going because Game Pass has to be fed and
Fucking grifters.
PlayStation Plus has to be fed
Nintendo doesn't
and
do
Disney
this.
Plus. I know that, but my thing is with Nintendo, they have a different structure for a reason because they have always kept this idea of like never discount anything, right? So for them, it's not about like they try to pitch their value all the time, whereas everybody else is trying to pitch the amount of content they have. Oh, look
Yeah.
at how many exclusive shows we have. Look how many exclusive games we had or used to have anyway, because now they're putting them everywhere for the most part, except
mean,
Nintendo.
But also,
Nintendo
PlayStation doesn't do
still
this either.
remains
with the
Nintendo
subscription
still remains the like gold standard of releasing games that are actually done when they're done and they're released. If they
Yeah.
get delayed, they come out and they are excellent. They are always top quality. They're always extremely polished and well produced and ready for prime time. But that's one of the things is people have got dependent on that. Gamers need to be consistent. If they're gonna criticize other companies, they need to also do it when it's their sacred cow that's turning around and shitting on their face.
Yeah.
I mean, and as for the inflation argument, the PlayStation 4 was $200 or $300 cheaper than the original launch price of the PS3. So don't give me that fucking bullshit. Tech prices drop as we go further through time. It's ludicrous.
Well, the landscape is just weird now.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
so much unstable things is going to lead to this kind of stuff. But
Well-
I will say this, as much as Game Pass gets shit on, deservingly so. I think that I go out of my way to buy video games I think are worth money. I don't really use Game Pass
Yeah.
unless I'm really hard. There was a time a couple years ago I didn't have a job, so the way for me to
Yeah, I
indulge
did
in
that.
gaming was to pay $10 for Game Pass a month, and that was
I
helpful
did
to
that
me.
with PlayStation Now for a little while because
Yeah.
I was
It-
broke as a
it's
joke. And I
very
still wanted to go.
It's very cost effective, but it's just not sustainable.
But here's the
Mm.
thing. So a lot of people are looking at these prices and saying, fuck it, I might as well just sub to Game Pass or a subscription service and just rock it out because these prices are just unrealistic as fuck. And when you look at Game Pass right now, and who knows, next year could be ass. You look at Game Pass right now, bro, Expedition 33 day one on Game Pass. Doom the Dark Ages, day one on Game Pass. Game Pass has
Terrible
actually
idea.
been kind of fire this year.
It has
you realize
because
it's a move.
Microsoft is through Xbox is absolutely desperate to make that system work because if it doesn't work,
They don't care about the
Xbox will
system.
not exist.
They don't
Yeah.
care about the system. They're
No,
creating
they don't.
infrastructure to live past the system's lifespan, the console gaming's lifespan. They want overall infrastructure everywhere, not just with the console. They couldn't give a single fuck about the console.
That's why they keep pushing that advertisement of this is an Xbox, this is an Xbox, this is an
Mhm.
Xbox. They do that because
Yeah,
they're
if you cared
trying
about the console,
to-
you wouldn't do that. Sorry.
Right. You're not trying to do Nintendo does the complete opposite. Like we're Nintendo, this is our thing. You need our thing in order to play our our games.
Brand would be a more accurate statement than the hardware, more
Yeah.
of a software. In a sense, Xbox is transitioning much more slowly into what Sega ultimately did
Yep.
back in the late 90s and early 2000s.
They're definitely going the Sega route. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think they're gonna become more of a streaming service rather than any hardware. Because I don't know if you guys tried any of these streaming, what's it called, like Luma or something like that for Amazon. It actually works pretty well. I mean, the resolution's not great, but it actually works. So I think Xbox is going to transition towards some sort of a either streaming or just some sort of service in general. They're going to drop hardware.
And the Xbox brand would fit that. The Xbox brand is highly enough regarded that if they went the Stadia Luma route, then they would
And some
actually
people-
probably succeed.
Games for everyone at an affordable price.
Some people are saying, but Game Pass is going to go up in price. Okay, so as much as I don't value subscription services, but say Game Pass, Ultimate goes up to $30, right? That's still like a third
still
the
really
price of an 8-year-old game that's coming to the Switch too. That's
Yeah.
3 months of gaming right
Yep.
there that you're gonna have. If Game Pass is good, because there's some points where it's ass, but it's still some gaming that you have access to all these games. Some are good, some are trash. You kind of have, either way you're entertained.
Well,
I still don't think that's a terrible thing, as disgusting as it is to say. But look at these prices overall; they suck everywhere.
Well,
Well,
as soon as
so
the-
I want to switch over really quick, Ryan. When you're done, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, once the Switch 2 releases, the most cost-effective console game on the market will be the Xbox Series S, and that is as much a positive as it is a negative for console gaming. It's affordable gaming. It is affordable gaming, but it's not really yours as ownership. And the
Yes.
Xbox Series S is living proof of that concept. A Game Pass machine. Take it away, Hypno.
No, I want to pivot really quick because there's only two things that really have me super. I guess the word will be confused. The Zelda thing, that's just a greed thing. But this shit
Mhm.
blew my mind, bro. So the the GameCube controller.
Oh, yeah. 3
This
paywalls plus
this
a
shit
$70
blew my
controller.
mind. So the GameCube controller that they are selling to be, on the Switch 2 apparently is only going to work with the
With the
GameCube
GameCube.
classics and nothing else. And this
Uh-oh.
controller is not cheap. This controller is like what,
Like
60,
80,
70 bucks?
$80,
I don't
I
know.
believe.
I don't know
70
the validity to this though, because I was hearing that the
I don't
previous
either.
controllers that Nintendo released were
Yeah,
the
also
same
did the same
deal, but I
thing.
heard that that's not like later on was patched or something. I don't know. I don't know what's true because Nintendo doesn't clarify anything. Like fuck them for
That's
making us
true.
more confused than anything else.
That's honestly one of Nintendo's
That's the
biggest issues. They
strategy.
have zero transparency whatsoever. And the moment drama like revs up, they don't address it
They
like
just
at all.
apologize.
No,
and
they
And by
go
the
move on.
time
completely
they do,
silent.
they wait like 30 days and they're like, yeah, sorry about what we did last month. Bro, people
It's-
already people
It's
already
like
moved
an
on to the
old
next
man,
thing.
though.
It's like an
It's
abusive
like an old
partner.
man. He fucks up, and then
Um
it takes him a month to realize. That is Nintendo to a key. Nintendo is like the old man of gaming. They're slow
what I
to
will
react to things.
I mean,
what
even
I
the
will
Belligerent
say
responses
old
from
is
man,
Doug
yeah.
Bowser have been really bad. Like they've been making
oh
Nintendo
yeah.
look worse.
Yeah.
What
They
I will
literally
say,
Doug
if this is
Bowser
true,
is the
go
new
ahead.
Don Matrix is all I'm gonna say. The
Yeah.
statement, if you can't afford a Switch 2, you can still play Switch,
You
is
can't afford a
absolutely
PS3, get a second job.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's the
crazy.
same energy as the 2013 E3 Xbox Live, where they were like E3, where he said, "Well, we have a console for people who can't get a constant online daily check-in internet connection. It's called Xbox 360. So if you're working on a nuclear sub." It's like, wow, you went straight to the most obscure fucking
Yeah.
thing. Because you're basically saying that the only excuse to not be online often enough to have an Xbox One is if you are living and working on a nuclear submarine. You
Well,
fucking idiot.
Oh,
What a
Nintendo and
dumbass thing
Cassie,
to
look at
say.
this, Cass, look at this.
so,
So this is the advertisement, right?
Mhm.
For the controller.
Yeah.
Look at the ever small print at the top.
Holy
The
shit.
controller is
Oh.
only compatible with Nintendo, GameCube, Nintendo Classics.
Is that
Yeah,
Ed?
So
so you have
you've
to
got to
look-
buy to get this experience, right? That they're
Holy
offering.
shit.
You've got 4 paywalls. You've got to buy the console. You've got to have a Nintendo Online subscription. You've got to upgrade it to the expansion pass, and you've got to drop another 70 on the actual controller. And those 4 criteria have to be met for you to be able to play old, out of date, non HD Wind Waker with a GameCube controller.
Why would it not be possible to use this controller for the actual Switch 2?
You can buy
That's a good
third-party GameCube controllers and adapters.
the
Cheap.
only the only thing I can think of, does this GameCube controller have the right bumper button? Because I have
Yes.
I have like a third party GameCube controller that has both bumpers, but the original GameCube controller only had
Only
one
have
bumper.
one.
I'm
The
not
original
sure.
had a bumper on the right. It didn't have a left bumper yet.
I'm kind of
It had
skeptical
the
about that.
Z button.
I'm skeptical about that image because the text at the top of that image is in a completely different like typeset than what the actual advertisement is.
Yeah,
Well, because
but
they're
do
doing
this
the
stuff like that.
typical what do you call that? The fine print nonsense. Anytime they do fine print nonsense like this, they always make it something that is just very small and abstract.
Yeah.
Especially on something that's like super bright red like this. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
So as far as why would that controller not work for non GameCube games? Like off the top of my head, what I can think of is
Button layout.
when you have console like the system requirements, you have to have like certain icons show up for context sensitive thing, whether the menus or whatever, like you have to have the correct A button show up, the correct, all these icons show up, and they probably just don't want to go through the process of having it switch back and forth between this A button for the the Switch 2 console. I'm sorry, the Switch 2 Joy-Cons, and then showing this green A button for the GameCube controller.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, there is actually a practical reason as well in that with the layout of the buttons on the GameCube, your muscle memory would be thrown out of whack because the X button on the GameCube controller is where I think in PlayStation terms, it's where the circle button would be.
So
to your thumb's muscle memory, and the Y button is where the X button. Sorry, go on.
No, I was gonna say for the people saying this might be Photoshop. This is the video. In the video, it's right here at the top, so it's not Photoshop.
Yeah.
It's real.
That's
so,
100%
why are you
real.
photoshopping the YouTube video?
All right.
Oh, damn, here we go.
All right. You caught
Premiere
me.
Pro.
I'm just an anti-Nintendo
Literally.
chud. You got me. I'm sorry.
Right. Sony Vegas ready.
On the fucking end screen.
My biggest confusion with this is that, well, it's not really confusion because I do get what's happening here. But like, let's say you're doing good in life, whatever. You buy this controller, you want to play the GameCube, you subscribe to Nintendo Online. Let's say you lose your job, you fall on hard times, you got to unsubscribe from Nintendo Online. This controller is fucking worthless then at that point, right? It's like nothing. You can't use it for absolutely anything.
Correct.
So the moment you unsubscribe, like you're a slave to that subscription. The moment you unsubscribe, I mean, you got to lose the GameCube games anyway. So what does it matter? You can't use it for any other actual games.
Well, how is it going to resell? What's the resell value in it, especially after? Because
it's going to have no resell value.
Of shutting systems down that get too old.
Cassie, go ahead, Cassie. What's
not
up?
for nothing, like guys, this isn't the early 2000s where you bought a third-party controller because you were broke and accepted the fact that the input latency was going to be ass. Like that's not a thing anymore. There's so many great third-party controllers. I have a third-party GameCube controller that works extremely well. I have it for Smash Bros because I don't mind using the Pro controller, but like my cousin wants to use the GameCube controller, so it's fine. It's wireless. There's no input latency. It has the extra bumper. Like, please indulge in third-party controllers because they're cheaper. They work just as well. They offer these little these little nuances that Nintendo doesn't even think to do. It's not the 2000s anymore. You have to worry about input latency. Third-party controllers are great, and they're cheaper.
Yep.
I don't know. I think this is this is pretty wild. I feel like it wouldn't have taken much more development time to make this a viable controller to use for the actual Switch 2 itself. I mean, I have two actual third-party controllers for the regular Switch that work.
The thing is here,
really
Steam has Steam input, right?
Yeah.
So you can change the glyphs that you'll see in the game. Most of the time, it works.
Well, it's not just
gone.
It's not just implementing it the first time, but it also adds additional work to like regression testing for future projects. For example, like they come up with a new game, new Mario, whatever. They have to test it on the Joy-Cons, but then they have to also test it on all the other different controller types that show these different UI elements as well. So it accumulates.
They don't want to pay the testers or something.
They just want to simplify things. That's
Nice.
more.
$450 a console. I think they can pay the testers.
People that don't want to discount their games don't want to pay for testing. I'm not.
Yeah.
My shock.
I mean, I totally see where you're coming from, and I'm being black-pilled as fuck, but that sounds like a slap in the face.
Nintendo at this point resonates with an old man who's getting dementia because nothing else explains failure after failure after
Really
failure
is
after a generation of success. Nintendo's got dementia and they're fucking dying and they don't even know it. They think this is good.
What I think is more egregious than this garbage GameCube controller that I wouldn't waste my money on is the fact that they're paywalling these GameCube games that I just wish I can buy outright and be fucking done with it. That to me hurts me more than anything else. I want to just buy them.
That Nintendo, when it comes to preservation, Nintendo is the shittest at it. Like that, whatever game exists. I meant to say shittest on purpose. That was an on purpose thing.
Shittiest.
I know it's shittiest, but I went to say anyway.
The
No,
most
fair,
shit.
it's all
Nigga, shut up.
like,
Anyway,
nah,
at any rate, Nintendo is the shittest at preservation. Like we're like they have games that exist on a specific console, and that game does not move to the next console at like a discounted price or anything like that. You have to wait until they put it on their emulator and stuff like that. But if you go out of your way to go ahead and I don't know, maybe emulate the game onto your PC or something like that, if you broadcast that like a moron, Nintendo's like, all right, we got to send our ninjas after you. Like, it's something that's very one of the things I really hate about Nintendo is that they just don't like the idea of reselling things or even having like a preservation system for the stuff. Like these are games that people
they
grew
want to
up
be the only ones to preserve it.
yeah,
they're
something like that.
absolutely turning into the gaming version
And most of the time,
Disney.
they don't even preserve it very well.
They don't.
That's the ironic thing.
They're gaming
Emulators do a
Disney.
better job.
It's the Disney model. Hey, you want to buy this movie because we put it on an inferior, low-quality DVD and it broke after 5 playthroughs? Sorry, Sonny, you're going to have to wait 15 years because it's back in the vault. You piece of
Nintendo
shit.
is going full retard because they're trying to essentially beat the internet. You cannot beat the internet. You're going to have
No.
ROMs of your games out there, whether you like it or not.
Correct.
Just sell the fucking games to people and get your bag instead of the nonsense that you're doing. Because at this point, all I'm seeing is them offloading their lawyer fees onto us with these nonsense prices.
To be
It's
fair,
an old.
Cassie, to be fair, I mean, you got to remember who was in charge over at Nintendo. These aren't exactly, young whippersnappers. Like, these are people that are like 60, 70, 80 years old. They don't quite understand the culture of, like, you're not going to beat the internet.
They don't care. They don't care about
They
the
don't
culture.
give a fuck.
think
That's
They
why they
even
call
know
them
what the
ninjas.
fucking internet is.
They
The
call them
basis-
Nintendo ninjas for a reason.
The basis of how Nintendo operates is that they want to be the grandfather that doesn't change, but they'll sucker you anyway because they offer all of these games that children love and adore, and so generation after generation will love Nintendo even despite them conducting themselves like a grandfather.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they have this
Uh,
grandfatherly image and mindset, and that helps them to get away with doing fucking egregious things. Because older people, they do egregious things. It's like, he's just old. Don't worry about him. It's okay. But if someone our age, 20s to 40s, did it, they get fucking canceled.
Nintendo has a stranglehold on essentially almost every childhood gamer's nostalgia. They have
yeah.
not only is it
That's all
nostalgia, but
they
it's your
have.
childhood. And so everyone will
all
give
they
them the
have.
benefit of the doubt as much as they possibly can up until they can't anymore. But everyone's line for that is different.
Until Granddad crashes the car, and it's like,
I just hit
shit,
my
we've gotta
fucking
change
line
things here.
I
La-
recall seeing this thread where somebody posted a picture of Nintendo's headquarters, and it's just this beige building, and people are disappointed. They're like, "Oh, I imagined something very colorful and fun." It's like, no, they're
That's
a business.
Yeah. That's the
This old
perception.
Nickelodeon building. I don't know if you guys remember that. The one with the
Oh,
big ass
man.
foot on it.
Nickelodeon
Big ass foot on it,
Studios, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, share my screen, if you don't mind.
Guys, real quick, I gotta head out, but it's really
Okay.
good talking to you,
Make like
especially
a
you,
fetus and head
Mustafa.
out.
It was
Oh,
really
fuck,
interesting hearing
no.
your
Oh my
perspective on
God.
things. So thank you so much for joining us.
Hey,
Pleasure.
I appreciate it.
Read the Big Verse
Absolutely.
chat, Cassie, on your way out.
All right, I got you. But
Gotta read
thanks
it
guys so
now.
much. If you want to check me out, Cult Classic Cage on YouTube and Mario Kart on Twitter. Yes, I will stay with that username. I don't care if Nintendo ninjas come at me. I carry, so go fuck yourself, ninjas. But
Mhm.
peace out, guys.
Peace out, man.
Peace.
Have fun.
Just
What the fuck is
these
this, Will?
things. This is an adapter you
Adapter.
can use to plug a GameCube controller, an actual official GameCube controller, into a PC. You can have up to 4, so you can play 4-player split screen. And, if you can find a way to get Nintendo games to run on your PC, God knows how you would do something like that. This is a very effective way of getting that authentic experience without having to pay Nintendo.
Yeah,
Nice.
fuck 'em.